everything can be subject to design. Everything we know, science, art, the digital realm, ecology, anthropology, evolutionary principles, you know, where life is going. Yeah, my idea of design is beyond the obvious, really. I know we can design these everyday objects, and I do, and it's beautiful, but I think the designer is a designer of life. It's a kind of life force that's like an endless flowing river of innovation. In a way, I'm trying to converge here in my show at the Pompidou, all these ideas. In the show here, I'm hoping that people will come and be absolutely fascinated. I want them to come and come again. I'm giving them a forest. They can walk through the forest and then ultimately decide what they go back to look at, which tree they found fascinating or beautiful. But actually, for a designer to be shown in a contemporary art museum of this nature is really fantastic. It's an amazing thing, not just for me, but I want people who come here to see that my design is in fact a contemporary art form. I've collaborated now with Swarovski, Nadia Swarovski and the team for around about a decade, 10 years. And in that time, we've made multiple projects, but the two most significant are the solar car, which I'm going to talk to you about now, and the generator house, which is also shown in the exhibition. They represent car of the future, house of the future. These are the two big things which have affected most people all of their life. I have to tell you, it's great because I worked with Cambridge University on their endurance solar car that races across Australia. And I was absolutely fascinated that through solar energy and the use of super lightweight composites, we could transport a man for 1,000 kilometers for free. So I thought that by building a car with Swarovski, using a special device which I invented, which is the use of crystal on crystal, that's crystal from Swarovski amplifying light through a special geometry onto photovoltaic crystal panels, that you could create something incredible with an incredible harmony and trinity, but at the same time look amazing. It relates to nature simply because of about forces of nature. So you have two conditions. You have one that's hydrodynamic, when something moves through water, and then you have aerodynamic, something that moves through air. So having a form that sort of converges that tells people that it's lightweight, dematerialized, and incredibly fat-free. So it's plus or minus zero, meaning it's au point, it's absolutely perfectly formed. So that's how it relates to nature for me. It's a technological, technocratic innovation. The Swarovski solar car represents the DNA of my work. DNA means design, nature, art. Well, the Twins is an electric vehicle. It's an electric city vehicle. It drives. It's a whole new age of designing. Renault, the only thing they said was, it has to be blue. I mean, I think that's incredible. So first of all, I wanted to make a vehicle that was an electronic vehicle, looked electronic. So when I work with the engineers, what would happen is they define what they call the package. This is the tumble home, which is the shape of the car. The general Renault-ism, if you like. It's very Renault, this car. And then I come in and I morph and pull and push and stretch that DNA to come a bit more Lovegrove. So my job was to actually expand the internal space which is not exactly dematerializing, but what it does is I've taken all of the controls that you would normally get, the horloge and all the other details, and I've just put them into the intelligent pad. So all of those things, they just go into one object. There's subtle dematerialization in the fact that there is no rear view mirror. It's a screen, it's a television screen. So you're seeing in a better way with more eyes, so it's a safer vehicle. And then the idea that all the lighting, all of the security lighting of braking and so on is reduced, but then it's expanded. Once you reduce something, you can easily go back in and add. Often cars are beautiful on the outside and not very interesting on the inside. So what I've done is I've kind of reversed that. I tried to make the outside as matte and dead, like a Kapoor sculpture, super matte pigment on the outside. It's Ikebe, which is Yves Klein blue. And then on the inside, this is a very digital schematic. The algorithm rewrote in order to get these lines that come from a pilot-centric condition. So it's the driver as the center of the vehicle, and everything radiating is there not as decoration, because I don't make decoration. It's there to transmit the air all the way around the vehicle, so the people in the back are not compromised. So there's the same feeling and temperature around the cabin. When you sit in the cabin, you can't believe this is a small car. So that's the one thing. It's a little bit of a TARDIS in expanding its form. And it's demonstrated, it's shown like this, with the doors completely open. But the idea of opening doors like that, look at the freedom that you get. But another innovation are these seats. Generally, a car seat uses about 20 components. So what I've done two pieces. The bone piece, which is in fibre de carbone, covered with this nylon net, which is a double-layer digitally woven net, which gives you the conditioning of the cushion, so it gives you suspension, but at the same time, it completely breathes unilaterally through its form. I can't believe why that's never been done before. They thought it was genial. I just thought it was pretty normal. If you look at the wheel is a complete breakthrough. I'd been working with Michelin and Clermont-Ferrand, and they made for me this special bicolore wheel, which is blue and black rubber. And then what that does, it blends into the wheel hub. So my way of designing is inside grows out, it starts to grow back on itself, one material becomes another, but you don't see the differences. It's a morphology of material morphology. It's a kind of new age, techno spirit vehicle. But actually to produce a democratic electric vehicle is a fantastic project. And for designers like me, it's everything. It's architecture, interior design, electronic design, furniture design, all in one object. It's a dream to work on a car, because then you're not separated out. You're holistically looking at one object. This strange object is a cocoon. Jeff Koons was here and he loved it, so it's a cocoon now. And inside that cocoon is a future car, a future form of a car, which has the ultimate aerodynamic form. It has a sense of dynamic and movement. It floats inside. And it's like being with a new species. It's like being with an aquatic mammal of types. Instinctive override is a sort of instinctive confirmation, because that's what it is. It's and you can't argue with that because it feels right. When I designed this project, which is an art installation, I work with aerodynamicists in Torino who work on the space shuttle to try and arrive at the ultimate aerodynamic form. And after a couple of months, in parallel, myself with one assistant, we looked at the idea of the same form. I spent a couple of minutes, actually about 4 minutes, doing some little sketches of a water droplet going through to more like this bean shape. And then we worked on it and kept working on it, evaluating and refining. And after about 2 months, we compared science with instinct. And we were about 2% different. So at that moment, I realized that design is that process. It's an instinctive override of science and engineering. That's what makes the difference. That's what pushes it into the realm of art and emotional intelligence. When you look at this form, you know it's right without knowing anything. And design needs an elevated position. It can't be, if it's not, it's always going to be thrown away. So this is not a design shape, it's a result of a particular function, if you like. We built the cocoon with Barasol, especially for this show, for the Pompidou. It's built from this gold mylar, which is a kind of spacey material. I was always fascinated as a kid. You look at the lunar limb, you know, with that gold mylar that we'll always put on in a kind of haphazard, crumpled kind of way. And that, for me, has a certain spaciness. So I wanted that in the show. I wanted this exhibition to also be lifted and be technocratic. I didn't want it to slip into archaeology. I want these bullet points like this, or my disc camera, or the Ilabo shoes, or the new chair for Morosa. I want it to kind of suddenly lift and be technocratic. So the gold mylar is great because it dematerializes into the architecture of the Pompidou, which I love so much. The word cocoon conjures up enclosure, something that the world knows. It's universally known. But what it contains is a discovery. So it's a form of modern archaeology, if you like. You look in, you think, oh my God, what's that? In my studio, people will say to me, oh, why are you doing it like that? I said, because it feels right. It's a gut reaction. You know, we have this, and we have this. Well, some people just design with this, and it's pretty boring. And some people design with this, but it's too romantic. So you actually need that to create the beauty and logic that I'm talking about. You know, I'm interested in absolutely newborn things from today. I'm not a 20th century designer. I'm a 21st century designer, and I'm really enjoying that position.